Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad wa barik wa sallam. So tonight we are going to be looking at the du'as of Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam, Nabi Ayyub alayhi salam, and Nabi Yunus alayhi salam. And inshallah ta'ala in the next session we will begin and spend maybe a few sessions on the du'as of Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam. The two du'as of Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam are both in Surah Yusuf, which is Surah 12, and verses 33 and 101. Two du'as of Sayyidina Ayyub alayhi salam. The first is in Surah 21, Surah Al-Anbiya, verse number 83. And the second is in Surah Sad, Surah 38, verse 41. And then finally is the dua of Nabi Yunus alayhi salam, which is also in Surah Al-Anbiya, Surah 21, verse 87. So first now we turn to the duas of Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam. So I think again almost all of you would be very familiar with the story of Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam. There's a whole surah on this. We have taught this surah a number of times, and at least one or maybe two of those recordings are on the website, so you can listen to the tafsir of the whole surah in detail. Tonight we're just going to be looking at these two particular du'as. So the first du'a is in verse number 33, surah number 12. Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam, he made du'a to Allah Ta'ala. Right, so this is the instant when Nabi Yusuf was falsely accused by the woman, the wife of the ruler, who was also the place where they were his caretakers. He was living in their home, and so the ruler decided that it would be best to place Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam in prison. Right, and he was not putting him in prison because he thought he was guilty. He knew he was innocent, but just to take him out of society, to take him out of the mind and hearts of these women who were trying to seduce him. And then she presented Nabi Yusuf in front of her friends, and they also fell awestruck by his beauty. And then there was all this tumultuous talk going around. So to put an end to this, the ruler decided to place Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam in prison. All right. Now, interestingly, in the verse previous to this, the woman, she had threatened Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam that if he does not, do what I want him to do, he will be imprisoned. All right. So let's go back. Actually, let's do that line, the last phrase and part of 32. So by the way, it depends on what type of mushaf, what type of script and writing copy of Quran Al-Karim you have, but you will maybe understand now, having done enough of translation and commentary with us so far, that, and I explained this once before, that there are the verse breaks, the ayah breaks. Then within the ayah, sometimes there's a phrase or a sentence that is completed. And in Arabic, there's no punctuation in that sense of full stop or period or semicolon. So you will sometimes find these markings, rumuz, inside the mushaf. So for example, there's a ta, right? So I'm doing that part of verse 32, which is the third segment in it, and you can see, if you have a copy that has this notation in it, the two small little ta's. So wala illam a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim, wala illam yaf'al ma amuruhu, and if Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam, if he does not do what the woman is saying, what I command him, la yusjananna, certainly he will be imprisoned, wala yakunam min as-saghirin, and he will be amongst those who are diminished in rank, who are humiliated, tasghir, right, who are belittled and dishonored. Okay, now Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam makes dua. Allah, Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam calls out makes dua and says, Rabbi sijnu ahabbu ilayya mimma yad'unani ilayh, that, oh my Rabb, prison, jail, ahabbu. I mean, this is a very strong word. He could have said khairun li, it's better for me. No, ahabbu is more beloved to me. And why? So Nabi Yusuf said this to negate the fact that normally, if a woman is soliciting you, it would be beloved to you, it would be desirous to you, it would be appealing to you to give into that. So Nabi Yusuf chose this word to negate any and all inclination and desire for her, and to show that my inclination and desire for prison as opposed to her would be so much, not just khairul li or mahbub, would be ahabbu, would be the most beloved, more beloved ilayya to me, mimma, than all of that which yad'unani, that she is inviting and enticing me ilayhi, towards. Allahu Akbar kabira. Wa illa tasrif anni kaydahunna, and oh Allah Ta'ala, if you, Allah Ta'ala, do not tasrif anni, avert from me, kaydahunna, their plotting, their scheming, asbu ilayhinna, then I will incline towards them, wa akum min al jahilin, and I will become from amongst the ignorant. Alright, so now Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam, this is the expression of his humility. Alright, this is why I translated the first part for you to show you. There is no element in him, as some have mistakenly interpreted, of lust, of haram lust in his heart. When he makes statements like this is his humility. In other words, that if you don't, otherwise, Nabi Yusuf, technically, if you know the story, he himself averted himself away from her. He ran away from her. She grabbed his shirt from the back, right? He's not interested in any of the other women that she gathered. But he's not attributing it to himself. He's attributing it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and saying, if you, out of your rahmah and karam and your hidayah, don't continue to avert me from them, then I will incline towards them. Not because he has an inclination, but he's not attributing it to his own taqwa, his own isma. And also there's, the ulama have discussed this, that whether Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam at this moment even fully realized he was a Nabi, right? And if he did not fully realize he was a Nabi, he wouldn't fully realize that he's pure, immaculate, pristine, free from sin, he's masoom. So this would be, again, this is why I told you, the humanity. So the Anbiya alayhim as-salam's mind, they had a humanity in them. And that humanity is what enabled them to have the ubudiyya, their servanthood and slavehood and submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَأَكُمْ مِنَ الْجَاهِلِينَ means I'll be of those who are ignorant. So the meaning the ulama have taken from this is, one meaning of jahil is not to know something, right? To not have knowledge. A second meaning of jahl, however, is to know but not to practice what you know. That's even more foolish, right? So if somebody tells you, oh, I didn't know, it's okay, well, you didn't know. Okay, that's an excuse. Somebody tells you, I knew 100%, but I still didn't do it. Well, that's even worse. So it's in that sense that Nabi Yusuf Islam is saying, right, that even though I know that it is wrong, I will incline towards them. So therefore, if I practice something, even though I know it, I'll be from the jahilin. Why in the world would I practice it? As if Allah Ta'ala, if you don't avert me from them. Why is that? Because my ability to avert myself from them, I attributed that to you, and it was only you who protected me from them. So I hope this is clear, because unfortunately a lot of people, they misunderstand and they twist Nabi Yusuf to make him sound too human, right? Alhamdulillah, he was a Nabi, he was masoom, he was free from sinful feelings and desires. And here again, as you saw in several places earlier, the answer comes immediately. فَاسْتَجَابَ لَهُ رَبُّهُ. His Rabb answered and accepted and answered his prayer in acceptance. فَصَرَفَ عَنْهُ. So the same word. وَإِلَّا تَصْرِفْ فَصَرَفَ عَنْهُ. فَصَرَفَ عَنْهُ كَيْدَهُنَّ. But look, then Allah Ta'ala says it a different way. So Allah Ta'ala doesn't say that, and Allah Ta'ala averted him, Yusuf alayhi salam, from them. Rather, Allah Ta'ala says, and Allah Ta'ala averted their plotting from him. So here Allah Ta'ala is attesting to the ismat and the purity and immaculate nature of Nabi Yusuf, that he has no inclination or potential in him that he needs to be averted from them. Rather, Allah Ta'ala averts their plotting from him. Innahu, indeed he Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, huwa sami'ul alim, he is all hearing and all knowing. So this is the dua of Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam. I hope I wasn't saying Yunus. Yusuf, Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam. And all this time, and what we learn from this dua is that even if we are successfully staying away from any sin, we should never attribute it to any ability or might or power or proficiency or accomplishment in our own self. We should keep turning to Allah Ta'ala and begging Allah Ta'ala that, Ya Allah, you keep turning me away from that sin, otherwise I will incline towards it and I will be from the jahilin, those who commit sin despite knowing that they should not. Alright? Okay. Final, and then the second dua of Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam, same surah, surah 12, surah Yusuf, verse 101. So this is towards the end, really at the end basically of the story, when all of everything gets resolved and he's reunited with his parents and with his youngest brother, and then they all make the sajda towards him, and then he tells his father, who was also a prophet, that all of this, in Nabi Yaqub alayhi salam, that this is the interpretation of the dream, which was the beginning of the surah. All of this you can learn from any scholar of tafsir, or we have also done the tafsir of this entire surah on the website. Okay, but in verse 101 then, Sayyidina Rasulullah, Sayyidina Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam makes dua to Allah Ta'ala after all of this. Now it's interesting because it's really at the end of a whole narrative, the end of a whole long sequence of events that Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam had to go to. So this is a very sort of climactic dua. Rabbi, O my Rabb, قَدْ أَتَيْتَنِي مِنَ الْمُلْكِ, that you have granted me a part of dominion, sovereignty, kingship, rule. And if you remember the story, that Nabi Yusuf's son was made, in a sense, a minister of finance and economy, so to speak, of his place. So number one, you bestowed upon me some element of rule. Number two, وَعَلَّمْتَنِي مِنْ تَأْوِيلِ الْأَحَادِيثِ, and you taught me some aspect of the interpretation of dreams. فَاطِرَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. And now Nabi Yusuf is invoking upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Fatir, Allah ta'ala, was the original creator of all of the stratified heavenly realms on the different layers of the universe, wal-ard, and the earth. Anta waliyi fi dunya wal akhirah. Now this is the real beautiful part, alright? Because we can't say the first part, right? Okay, so we will, because we are not Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam, this didn't happen to us, that Allah Ta'ala gave us kingship and He taught us part of kingship and part of the presidency. So for us it will be Rabbi Fatir as-samawati wal ard anta waliyi fi dunya, that you are my wali, you are my friend, my protector, my guardian fi dunya, in this world, wal akhirah, and in the hereafter. Tawaffani muslima. So look at the humility of Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam. He's saying that Allah Ta'ala, after all this, so he knows, he's saying much more than he's saying, put it that way. After his whole story, obviously he knows in his heart that Allah Ta'ala guided him throughout and rescued him finally out of all of the difficulty he had. And Allah Ta'ala bestowed upon him nubuwwah, prophethood, and Allah Ta'ala bestowed upon him izzat and honor and dignity and kingship, and Allah Ta'ala united him again with his parents and brothers, and Allah Ta'ala taught him some of the interpretation of dreams. All of these things. But what's his worry? Tawaffani muslima. But just grant me death in a state that I am in submission and obedience to you. Grant me death in a state that I am Muslim, I am in a state of Islam. Allahu Akbar. So this was the desire of the Anbiya. Even when they were given Nubuwwah, they were given Mulk, they were given Izzah, they were given everything. They were giving all that Allah Ta'ala ever gave them. But still their ultimate desire was what? To be the servants and slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Tawaffani muslima wa alhiqni bis salihin. And Allah Ta'ala join me and unite me and include me and connect me bis salihin, with the virtuous believers and your righteous slaves. Salihin. To alhiqni bis salihin means in the akhirah. Right? Grant me the Jannat in the place of the Anbiya, Mursaleen, Siddiqeen, Shuhada, Salihin, something we mentioned to you in the Tafsir series a couple of nights ago. So this is another beautiful dua of Nabi Yusuf Islam, and also teaches us what is the core thing that, so when we know what the prophets deeply, alayhi mind deeply desired, we know what it is human to desire. Because again, the prophets are the ultimate exemplars of humanity. So it's human to desire to die in a state of submission and obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it's human to wish that in the eternal afterlife that Allah ta'ala connect and join a person with the salihin, with the virtuous and righteous believers and servants and slaves. These were the two du'as of Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam. Then comes the two du'as of Nabi Ayyub alayhi salam. So many of you would remember the core aspect of his story, that he was afflicted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with a great difficulty and illness, right? A severe illness. And there's no verse that mentions exactly what disease affected Nabi Ayyub alayhi salam, and it's actually not mentioned in the hadith as well of Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. All the narrations that talk about the type of illness and extent of illness, they all come from a category of reports that in our deen are called Israeliyat, means that some of the early Ahl Kitab Sahabi converts to Islam shared with the Sahaba Ikram and Tabi'in some of the teachings of the Torah and Injil, and those reports are known as Israeliyat. And so anything we know about the illness, for example, it being a skin disease, right? That's actually not mentioned anywhere in the Quran or anywhere in the Hadith. So let's just leave it then, unstipulated. But we do know that Nabi Ayyub alayhi salam was afflicted with a severe illness that caused severe adversity, loss to him. Alright? And he made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to know the dua. That, and I should mention that earlier about Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam, the same thing, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam first, then the Sahaba Ikram, then the whole Ummah to know these du'as, to make these du'as, to feel these du'as, to be guided by the great examples that the earlier Prophets alayhi salam ajma'in sent. So this is Surah Al-Anbiya, Surah 21, verse 83. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وأيوب إذ نادى ربه. And remember Ayyub alayhi salam when he called out and supplicated to his Rabb, saying what? أني مسني الضر وأنت أرحم الراحمين. That indeed me, a great dhur, a tremendous difficulty, adversity, calamity in the form of illness, masani, has afflicted me. Wa anta, and you, arhamur rahimin, you are the most merciful of the ones who are the most merciful of those who show mercy. Allahu Akbar. So this is Ajeeb. So here, Nabi Ayyub's style of making dua is different. He didn't ask Allah Ta'ala, and cure me, shower your mercy on me. He just said, Anni, me, indeed me, I'm the person, masani dhurru, that a tremendous adversity, difficulty has afflicted and overwhelmed me. Wa anta, and you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you, arhamur rahimin, you are the most merciful of those who show mercy. So there's also dua for us to use if we are faced with any severe setback, difficulty, failure, opposition, trial, tribulation, fitna, maybe illness, maybe financial, maybe personal, maybe spiritual, maybe crisis of the nafs. We can make this dua. What dua? We just say, Rabbi, you can add some word, Allahumma, or say, Rabbi, Anni massani dhurru wa anta arhamur rahimin. And then again, as I've shown you so often, immediately after the jawab. Now this is also giving a tasalli to Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and Sahaba and the Ummah, that Allah Ta'ala answers du'as, and we did that for you in the tafsir series earlier. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that call upon me, astajib lakum, I will reply. And the same words are being used here. Fastajabna lahu fakashafna ma bihi min dhur, and we answered in acceptance his call and supplication to us. Fakashafna ma bihi min dhur, and we removed, and we can say lifted, alleviated all that was afflicting him from dhur, from every difficulty, calamity, adversity, illness. وَأَتَيْنَاهُ أَهْلَهُ, and we bestowed upon him his family, وَمِثْلَهُمْ مَعَهُمْ, and their likeness thereof, رَحْمَةً مِّنْ إِنْدِنَا وَذِكْرَى لِلْآبِدِينَ, as a mercy, love, and compassion from our behalf, and as a dhikra, as a sign of remembrance, and to take heed from, for who? Lil abidin, for those who are worshippers, who deeply worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what does this mean? It means Allah ta'ala, maybe it means Allah returned his original lost, the family and children that were lost to him, or that Allah ta'ala granted him a new family, or both, or that his numbers of the family were doubled afterwards, right? All of these are possibilities mentioned here. Okay, so this is the dua. The second dua of Nabi Ayyub alayhi salam is in Surah Sa'ad, which is Surah number 38, and this is verse 41. وَذْكُرْ أَبْدَنَا أَيُّوبَ, and remember our abd, our slave Ayyub. And why is being specifically mentioned as abd is because he bore patiently in slavehood and submission the difficulty that Allah Ta'ala placed him in. Ayyub, Nabi Ayyub, إِذْ نَادَى رَبَّهُ, when he called upon his Rabb, أَنِّي مَسَّنِي, okay, the same first two words are the same, that indeed has afflicted me, what? Ash-shaytanu. What has afflicted me? Shaitan. Binusbin wa adhab, and he has afflicted me with nusbin, with the difficulty, and adhab, with the extreme pain. Allahu Akbar. So now we learn a new thing, that Shaitan was the cause of this difficulty. Shaitan was the cause of his difficulty. And that his family, that he lost his family. Right? Because that part is coming again. Allah Ta'ala sends him a cure, guides him towards a cure, and then restores his family to him. Alright? So nusb here, the word nusb here means an extreme fatigue that one experiences after hard labor. So he's basically, the pain, the adhab that he's been in for so long has fatigued him. He's totally drained from this test. So Allah Ta'ala then answers his dua immediately through practical guidance. And that is verses 42, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells him to strike his feet on the ground, and then cold water will gush forth for him to bathe in and to drink. And then the next ayah, 43, is the same as what we did before. وَوَهَبْنَا لَهُ أَهْلَهُ وَمِثْلَهُمْ مَعَهُمْ رَحْمَةً مِنَّا وَذِكْرًا لِأُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ. Slight difference. And we bestowed upon him his family and the likeness thereof. رَحْمَةً مِنَّا, as a mercy, love, and compassion. There it was what? وَذِكْرًا لِلْآبِدِينَ. Here it's what? وَذِكْرًا لِأُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ. As a dhikra, as a reminder, as something to take heed from, as a remembrance. لِأُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ, for those who are the people of lub, the people of profound understanding. Okay, so there's a nisbat here then between abidin and ulul albab, between ibadah and understanding. So there's one type of understanding that you get through rational study, through your akal and through ilm, and there's another type of understanding, listen carefully, that you get through ibadah. Dhikr al-abidin over there, dhikr al-ulul albab here. There's a particular type of insight and understanding that a person gets through ibadah. Those people who get an understanding through akal, they're those who do yaqilun, who rationalize. Those people get understanding through ilm, they're called in Quran ulama. And those who get an understanding through ibadah, they're ulul albab. Alright? And then at the end of 44, the second part of 34, Allah Ta'ala then beautifully sort of celebrates Nabi Ayyub alayhi salam and says, Inna wajadnahu sabira. And indeed, Allah Ta'ala says that I in my might, in my grace, in my knowledge found him, Nabi Ayyub alayhi salam, to be sabira, to be patient. Ni'mal abd, to be, what a wonderful, fine, great abd, slave. Innahu awwab, indeed he was certainly a penitent and turning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala throughout. Right, these were the two du'as of Nabi Ayyub alayhi salam. So this means that we must do sabr and we must do ibadah, and then it will help us to understand, and then we will turn to Allah Ta'ala in dua, and inshallah Allah will remove that affliction and calamity that has befallen us. We will do sabr, we will do ibadah, and then inshallah we will understand, and Allah Ta'ala will remove the fitna and difficulty and calamity that is upon us. And finally for tonight, the last dua is the dua of Nabi Yunus alayhi salam. That is also in Surah Al-Anbiya, Surah number 21, verse number 87, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and this story has also been mentioned in Surah Yunus, and the story of Sayyidina Yusuf has also been mentioned in Surah Safat and Surah Noon. And you would remember the story of Nabi Yunus alayhi salam, that he was preaching to his people, and then he ultimately left them, and then he was swallowed by a whale and remained alive in the stomach of the whale, and he made this famous dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, so with the Nooni, so this is another the way of appellation of the name of Yunus alayhi salam. So the being of the whale is ذهب مغاضبا, when he left his community in a state of anger with them. فظن أن لن نقدر عليه, because he thought and estimated that they would not be qadir over him, for him. They were not going to truly value him and appreciate him and accept iman. فَنَادَى فِي الظُّلُمَاتِ, and then this is referring to the point when he was inside the belly of the whale. So he called out to Allah Ta'ala, فِي ظُلُمَات. So ظُلُمَات here means layers and layers of darkness. So it's important to understand, number one, that this literally physically happened. Okay? That Nabi Yunus was literally physically swallowed. I don't know if it was a sperm whale, great blue whale, one of those massive whales, right? But he was literally physically inside the belly of a whale. Now you can imagine that there's absolutely no light whatsoever, right? And so one is the physical darkness. Second is the darkness or inescapability, so to speak, of the situation, right? So, and remember Dhunnun, Sayyidina Yunus alayhi salam. So Dhunnun is just another name of Yunus alayhi salam, but I told you the word Noon can also mean large fish and whale. So Dhunnun means the man of the whale, the person of the whale, Nabi Yunus alayhi salam. Okay? Now, so a second aspect of the darkness, why darkness is used plural here, is the inescapability of the situation. There's no hope. There's no way out. There's a bleak outlook. The outlook is completely bleak and dark. Alright? Third aspect of the darkness is you kind of got yourself in this situation yourself. Right? Which is different than, okay, an illness has come on me, or somebody has enmity towards me, so Yusuf alayhi salam, others have enmity towards him, therefore he's in jail. Ayyub alayhi salam, shaitan cast this fatigue, punishment, illness on him, it's due to an other, right? But this is another intense sort of, feeling of hopelessness when you find yourself in a predicament that you caused yourself. So these are all reasons and ways why this word is used in the plural zulumat. Okay, so when in the state of zulumat, what is the dua? And I'm calling it a dua, technically it's a statement, but why did I call it a dua? Because fanada, he called out. He called out to who? To Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But what was his call? It was just an La ilaha illa anta subhanaka inni kuntu minad dhalimin. that there is no deity, no God except for you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, means he's asserting and affirming his tawheed. So understand, when he's saying this, it's not for the word for word meaning. It's from the depth of his heart. He's expressing the greatest thing he can express to Allah ta'ala, the greatest feeling any human being can have to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is tawheed, is the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is the ultimate act of humility and submission. And that's why Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that afdal dhikri la ilaha illallah, that the best dhikr of any sentence a person could say on their tongue is to say la ilaha illallah. Alright? Second, tasbih, subhanaka. Subhanaka means you are glorified and you are perfect and pure and immaculate and transcendent and beyond, needing me to be your Nabi, needing me to have guided the people beyond my having thought that the people would not value me and they would never accept Iman. Inni kuntu min al-dhalimin. So again here, anta, la ilaha illa anta, that you are la ilaha illallah, you are one and only. And inni, and me, kuntu min al-dhalimin, I'm from the ones who made a mistake. I'm from the ones who have wronged their own selves. So this is the statement of Nabi Yunus alayhi salam, and you would know that Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said in hadith that anyone of the ummah who makes this dua, surely in a difficult time, Allah Ta'ala will grant them relief and take them out of that difficult time. And again here you have, as we showed you before, in not technically all, but in most of those of the Anbiya in Quran, the answer comes immediately. فَاسْتَجَبْنَا لَهُ وَنَجَّيْنَاهُ مِنَ الْغَمِّ. And Allah says, and we answered and replied to his call and acceptance, and we rescued him and delivered him min al-gham, from his distress, from his sorrow. So that's the zulumat, the hopelessness, the bleakness of the situation. We rescued him from that distress and despondency. وَكَذَلِكَ nunjil mu'minin. So the same thing like the Prophet said, that if you make this dua, Allah Ta'ala will accept it. Allah Ta'ala himself is saying in Quran Kareem that in a like and similar, in exactly the same fashion and manner, will we rescue and emancipate the believers. Alright? So this was the notion that the believers in certain situations when they were being oppressed by the disbelievers, they found themselves in zulumat, surrounded by enmity and calamity. Right? But that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take a person out. So this is a very important dua. La ilaha illa anta subhanaka inni kuntu min al-dhalimin. And we should generally recite it as much as we can, but especially in the month of Ramadan. And it's not about the number of times that we recite it, but we should try to recite it with feeling and with understanding, and by making it the heartfelt expression of what we feel and want to say and profess in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah ta'ala accept us to make all of these du'as and grant us the feelings that were in the hearts of the Anbiya alayhim when they made these du'as. Wa akhir da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.